So, I made a video forever ago talking about what would happen if Moguzu actually still lived past volume 3. And that was about a year ago, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about what would happen if Manato actually lived. And as I've stated in past videos, character deaths in Grimgar are essential to the story. They teach Haru, the main character, and everyone else in the party lessons. These are mistakes that they try not to ever make again, and will actually, continue to grow as characters throughout the story. Manato's death taught the characters to not overextend themselves, but also that they need to put more effort in on their end. They shouldn't be carried by one person. Moguzu's death taught everyone, even if you have a great plan and you do everything you can right, sometimes small things could possibly lead to someone's death, but also, sometimes death just kind of happen. But what would happen if Manato himself didn't actually die early on in the story? Honestly, the answer might surprise some of you, because I don't think the characters get very far without learning that lesson. In this scenario, we're going to see that Manato almost died, and he actually recovers from his backstab. For those of you unaware, Manato in the manga and the light novel get hit by basically a giant knife. It's not a throwing knife, but it is treated as such. But let's just call it a throwing knife. Let's just say that he had enough healing to keep himself alive. If you guys have read the chapter in volume 14 plus, where it's Manato's perspective, you would know that Manato doesn't initially think very highly of the members of his party. He does start to care about them a little more near the end, but right before he dies, I should probably mention, by the way, Manato tried to get close to every member a little bit in the party to kind of have more control over them in one way or another. He kind of saw them as puppets in a way. Like if you see my other videos talking about how Manato is not as kind as people think he is, he was kind of getting close to them and making everyone reliant on him because he is kind of a narcissist and a bit of a sociopath. I can see Manato surviving and having two different roads he's going to go on. Either he's going to go back to his original plan on using Haruhiro and his friends to climb up the social ladder, then just throw them away and get a better party later on. Because he almost just died for these guys. He's probably going to get more disconnected from them and just say fuck it to these guys, because he literally just almost died to keep them all alive. Or he's going to kind of get closer to them now because he was getting to the point where he was feeling bad for doing some of the stuff he was doing. He was getting a little more emotionally attached to them before he dies. So he might decide to stay with them and be more careful with them, but micromanage them even more and not let them grow up for themselves. For the sake of this video, we're going to say, because I know people hate the whole fact that he's a little bit of a psychopath. I actually love it, by the way, but let's say instead that he decides to stick with the party and actually just micromanage the shit out of them the whole time. Also plan on having Haruhiro be the co-captain in the party as well. So he's probably going to actually continue on that plan and keep Haruhiro as a co-captain and start asking for advice. The problem with this is the rest of the party members, quite frankly, well, and this also includes Haruhiro, wouldn't again learn their lesson of being able to pick up their slack. Manato would probably still shield them from the fact that they're really underpowered, and probably would still heal them bit by bit, because again, he survives, so he's going to probably keep on healing them as much as possible because he doesn't think that they can deal with it without being healed. He might ask them to be a little more careful, and they'll probably go after weaker goblins even more. This would ultimately stunt their growth. Plus, the goblins that almost killed them, by this point, would have probably grown even more. The only reason in the original timeline that Haruhiro and the rest of the party started getting more skills to make them more powerful is because they had to compensate for the fact that Manato was gone, and Mary wouldn't heal for them. At the very least, Mary wouldn't explain why she wasn't healing for them at the end of a fight instead of during a fight, unless it was like an emergency. Manato's a clever guy. He probably would have started doing something along the lines of that too, but he's a lot more gentle than Mary is, and he probably would have still healed him a lot too. The party, most likely, without the development, would have probably been scared to even attack a hobgoblin or anybody of that level. Moguzu as a character is probably one of the more interesting ones who's going to get affected by Manato's death, because Moguzu did not know that his job is to protect the healers, which is... I play tank a lot in video games, and that angers the fuck out of me. Let's say that Moguzu doesn't grow the way he's supposed to, their front line is going to be weaker now, and most likely it's going to cause one of them to die. For the sake of this video, let's say it's either going to be Haru or Yume. Haruhiro was the one struggling, I believe, the most with Manato actually being the leader, actually, because he was depending on Manato so much. I believe in Volume 1, Haruhiro actually did think he was the weakest person in their party. I know that some people would probably argue that Manato probably would have, come up with strategies to, fight. I want to remind everyone that the closest thing to strategy Manato ever actually uses in the light novel is surrounding a single goblin, and maybe going at a goblin one at a time while it's asleep and having Ronta stab it. So I don't believe he's actually a good strategist. I think that's why he wants Haru to be the second command. I don't think Haru is going to be able to develop to be the leader that he is in the original timeline because he's forced to be a good leader. In this one, he still has Manato to rely on. As much as I love Haru, he's kind of a little bitch. And if he's not in a position where he's forced to push himself forward, he actually won't do so. Ultimately, I do think this is going to eventually to the party members either just dying off or the party just breaking up. My only exception might be Ranta. Ranta is, as described in the light novel, kind of a cockroach. He is good at surviving. I believe in the light novel, he did almost get his throat slit by the armored gob in their fight. But for the most part, he was still fighting even with low blood. And if someone died in the party, I do think that Ranta, eventually, depending on who dies, would probably leave. Like, if it's Yume, he would absolutely just leave the party. Think about it this way. He almost quit being a volunteer soldier when Manato died. Manato, who he only knew for at best maybe a month. And he has a huge crush on Yume. So if she drops dead, then it's over for Ranta. He's just gonna leave the party. If it's Haru dying, I think Ranta will still stick around for a while. I want to remind everyone that nobody in the party was that close to each other because Manato was there and everyone was close to him. Manato specifically got close to everyone and didn't really realize that none of the other party members were getting close to each other. He only started bonding when Manato died and they all started trauma bonding. So whether we like it or not, eventually the party is going to either collapse or they're all just gonna die because Manato being there incentivizes their bad behavior. And this is why the deaths in the story are just so important because these characters actually need to die to teach these characters a lesson. Anyway, that's what I think would happen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, these are completely, basically just theories and what I think would happen. But if you guys disagree, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Bye.